Yes, I'm Natasha Burma.
And I'm Steve Lacey. Those tariffs against Mexico and China are all set to go into effect in just a matter of hours until President Trump announced a pause. Here's the latest. The president agreeing earlier today to a 30-day pause in the tariffs against Mexico and Canada. However, that 10% tariff ordered on China is still set to go into effect tomorrow.
The news causing a roller coaster day on Wall Street. All the major indexes, the NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow finishing down, but not as bad as initially thought. Let's get more on where things stand tonight on the tariffs from Fox 5's Linda Schmidt, live in studio. Hi, Linda.
Yeah, hi to both of you. You know, we could have ended up having a possible trade war with Mexico and Canada starting at midnight. But last-minute phone calls today with President Trump ended with Trump getting exactly what he wanted: more border security to stem the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants.
We're not treated well by Canada, and we have to be treated well.
So, just hours before President Trump's threatened 25% tariff on Canadian goods was set to go into effect, Canada agreed to Trump's demands. The president using economic pressure on both Canada and Mexico to crack down on the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into the U.S.
Right now, it's certainly getting people to move.
After his phone call with President Trump, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau posting on X that Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar, will list drug cartels as terrorists, and launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. Earlier in the day, Mexico's president agreed to deploy 10,000 members of its National Guard to the border in exchange for postponing the threatened tariffs for at least 30 days. Political analyst David Birdsell says Trump's strategy is getting results.
It appears to be working, and Mexico is getting something out of it too. One of the components of this agreement is the president's agreement to try to use U.S. law enforcement to stop the flow of weapons into Mexico from the United States, which is one of the major ways that the cartels get their semi-automatic and automatic weapons.
During the 30-day pause, the Trump administration will be working to negotiate better trade deals with Mexico and Canada. Now, if the tariffs eventually go into effect, economic experts say Americans will bear the brunt by paying higher prices for items like food, electronics, car parts, and lumber.
I do think that we have to brace for the worst because these measures essentially have been put into motion, and they are very detrimental to consumers.
Now, the president has also threatened China with a 10% tariff on all goods, which is scheduled to still take effect at midnight. President Trump, though, is expected to speak with China's president at some point this week. Steve and Natasha, back over to you.
All right, Linda, thank you. And here locally, lumber companies are dealing with the uncertainty surrounding with the tariffs. Tonoy Lumber in the Bronx gets a large chunk of their supply, like pine and spruce, from Canada. They say that they're doing what they can to keep prices steady, but they're getting word from suppliers that prices are going up.
A lot of them have raised the price immediately by 25%. Some are not quoting prices. They want to feel where things go. Does this get paused? Does it continue for a long time?
Experts are concerned about Canadian lumber imports slowing down and causing a shortage. And the tariff battle is prompting swift reaction from local leaders.
All right, including Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams. Fox 5's Morgan McKay picks up that part of our team coverage.
It has a dramatic effect on our economy. A tariff is nothing but a backdoor tax.
But while Hochul raised the alarm, Mayor Eric Adams took a different approach than most of his Democratic counterparts.
We have to make sure that our borders are secured. It's a public safety issue, and public safety, as you heard me say over and over again, is a prerequisite to our prosperity.
Although public safety is a major platform for Adams, he has also been clear that he will not publicly criticize Trump's policies, saying previously that any concerns he does have will be shared privately with the president. Adams says that the city's budget director will be doing an analysis today, but emphasized that securing the border is also a priority.
When you hear those who are entering in our northern region that are on a terrorist watch list, when you're hearing some of the other issues that we're facing, we need to ensure that this is a safe country.
Meanwhile, Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Democratic New Jersey Senator Cory Booker are calling the tariffs another tax on the working class.
Life is already too expensive. What is this Republican ripoff all about? Why are they constantly trying to steal taxpayer money from the American people.
This trade war is a Trump tax. Understand that.
Reporting from City Hall, I'm Morgan Mackay, Fox 5 News.
And for the latest on the tariff battle, you can scan the QR code on your screen to download the free Fox Local app where you can stream our newscast anytime and get late-breaking updates. Now a horrific and stunning attack on a woman returning from taking out the trash.
Police say when she came back to her apartment from the trash chute of her building, two men were waiting and they stabbed her. Fox 6's Arthur Chena is live in Flushing, Queens with the very latest. Arthur.
Natasha Stevens, she was stabbed multiple times. Her attackers are still on the loose tonight. It is common for New Yorkers to let somebody in when they're entering their building. It is not advised because while most of the time it is a legitimate delivery person or a visitor, once in a while it can be a criminal, and that's what sources tell Fox 5 happened here last night at this building on Roosevelt Avenue off Parsons Boulevard. Yesterday evening, they say one suspect entered with a tenant and then lurked in the lobby and let a second man in, and then both men went straight to the fourth floor. Now, police say at that time, a 65-year-old woman was taking her garbage to the garbage chute, which is on her floor, but that when she returned to her apartment, the two intruders were inside. Now, it is unclear what the two suspects were after in that apartment, but they left empty-handed. However, they left not before stabbing the 65-year-old woman multiple times. This is according to police. Now, one witness said she had blood on her left forearm and also on her chest. That victim was rushed to a hospital. She is in stable condition tonight. Residents of the building tell us they are stunned in large part because they have always felt safe in their building, which they say is well run.
Do you feel safe in this building? Yeah.
Nice building, no problem.
I'm telling you, I've lived here all my life. Nothing has ever happened in this area, and for that to occur is crazy.
Now, the building has surveillance cameras both inside and outside. We were told police have videos now of the two intruders, although the suspects may have planned for that and covered their faces with masks. But again, tonight, a 65-year-old woman, the victim of this, is in the hospital. She is in stable condition. Police say right now they do not believe she knew who her attackers were. And while there is surveillance video, no arrests have been made at this time. We're live in Flushing, Queens tonight. Arthur Chien, Fox 5 News. Natasha, back to you.
Yeah, such a scary situation. All right, Arthur, thank you. Two teenage boys have been arrested by the NYPD accused of taking a subway train for a joyride. Police say 6 suspects broke into an empty R train in Brooklyn last month. The group then began operating the train and damaged the cameras inside. They are facing several charges, including reckless endangerment and criminal mischief. Police are still looking for the other suspects.
And the NYPD asking for the public to help find the person who forcibly kissed and touched an 11-year-old girl in East Harlem. Investigators released their surveillance video of the suspect they're looking for. Police say it happened last Saturday afternoon, just after 3 o'clock near 125th Street and Madison Ave. If you can help locate the guy you see in this video, you're being asked to call police. Protesters making their voices heard tonight,
claiming the local hospital system has stopped providing gender-affirming care for minors in the wake of President Trump's executive order. We'll have the latest, plus this.
When you look through the footage and you think about what could have been, had a gas line been hit.
new details in the deadly plane crash in Philadelphia. The number of those injured on the ground jumping to 24 as investigators recover the Learjet's black box. And Nick, talking the weather tonight, Nick.
Weather definitely a recovery from yesterday's snow. We got to about 50 degrees today. Now, notice moisture off to the north. That is not coming our way, just some clouds. Cooling down the next few days, and I'll tell you about our next chance for snow when the 10 o'clock news returns.
Well, some hospitals and health systems across the country are pausing gender-affirming care for young people, and there are reports that one hospital system in the city is among them.
All right, it's all in the wake of an executive order signed by the president, and tonight in Murray Hill, those in opposition to the order rallied. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley has more.
Advocates for transgender rights demonstrating against NYU Langone Health in Murray Hill. Protesters say the hospital is now denying children gender-affirming care following President Trump's executive order aimed at curtailing federal funding for such treatments.
Trans children need health care. They need to have access to health care, both mental and medical, that they need to survive.
Hundreds of trans rights supporters marching down First Avenue in front of the hospital, only a handful of demonstrators opposing them showed up with signs.
This is going to kill people. This is a matter of life and death. I know it was my experience as a teenager. It's the experience of so many.
New York Attorney General Letitia James also reacting. She sent this letter telling hospitals that they would be violating state law if they stop offering gender-affirming care for people under 19 in response to President Trump's executive order. NYU Langone told me they have no comment on the Attorney General's letter.
Law versus executive order. The law should win. The problem here is it's the power of the purse. And the hospitals may say, all right, wait a minute. Where's our bigger problem? Not getting the money or breaking the law?
You can see this as an emotional issue for families and for voters across this country. Look for the next fight in this battle to be waged in the courtroom. Sharon Crowley, Fox 5 News.
Governor Hochul signing a bill that she says will further protect abortion rights in the state of New York. Providers who prescribe medications used in abortions can now request that the pharmacy print the name of their practice on the label rather than the doctor's name. Hochul says the law will give additional protections to New York doctors who treat women from states with abortion restrictions. That new legislation comes after a New York doctor was indicted in Louisiana for allegedly prescribing abortion pills online to a pregnant minor. The NYPD needs help identifying these robbery suspects who target women on the Upper East Side. Police say the group stole a woman's purse back on January 19th in front of a building on East 75th Street. Minutes later, they tried to steal another woman's bag on 3rd Ave and 78th, but she was able to hang on to it and ran away. Police say the same thing that happened 2 days later on 2nd Ave and 70th, when they tried to steal a purse from a 71-year-old woman who also was able to run off and hold on to her purse. If you have any info about the suspects you see on the screen, police are asking you to contact Crime Stoppers.
Officials say the cockpit voice recorder of the medical transport plane that crashed in Philadelphia is on its way to Washington, D.C. to be examined. 6 people on board died when the Learjet fell out of the sky Friday night. It slammed into a Philadelphia street, leaving a huge crater and widespread damage. All of the victims were Mexican citizens. One man on the ground was also killed. Investigators say the jet's black box and its ground warning system will offer clues as to what happened. The cockpit voice recorder was found 8 feet beneath the surface of the street.
FAA and the NTSB, they're going to look at weather. Was there medical concerns? Was there technical or mechanical issues on the airplane?
The crash and the explosion destroyed 4 homes and damaged more than a dozen others.
And in Washington, D.C., officials say efforts to remove the entire wreckage of the plane that collided with an Army helicopter near Reagan National Airport will take a few more days. Salvage crews recovered an engine and large pieces of the fuselage today. Officials say they also recovered more human remains from the Potomac River. 55 of the 67 victims have now been identified. Authorities say once the plane's removed, they'll work to recover the military chopper. The crash on Wednesday is the deadliest U.S. air disaster since 2001. And some of the victims of that crash were part of the U.S. Figure Skating Committee. So dozens of people from Skating Club of New York gathered at the Woolman Rink in Central Park to pay their respects and hold a moment of silence. 28 members of the skating community were killed in the tragedy, including young skaters, coaches, and parents. They were coming back from a national development camp in Wichita, Kansas.
Attorneys for actors Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively appeared in federal court for a pretrial hearing today. Lively is accusing her It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment. Baldoni countered with a defamation and extortion lawsuit against Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds, asking for $400 million. The judge telling both sides to stop litigating the case in the press or else he'll move up the trial date.
We're really pleased with how the proceeding went, and we really respect Judge Lyman, and we're really looking forward to moving the case along as quickly as possible. We're very happy with that.
The trial is set for March of next year.
New tonight, the man who was pushed in the path of a subway train getting a chance to meet the men who saved him. Joseph Linsky was in a lot better shape this time around as he personally got to say thank you to the FDNY members in Manhattan today. Linsky was pushed in front of an oncoming 1 train on New Year's Eve in Chelsea. Members from Engine 3 and Ladder 12 crawled under the car to pull him from the tracks. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition but has made a remarkable recovery. The suspect's been arrested and charged with attempted murder.
Our right, let's talk about the weather now as we take a live look outside. Get ready for it. The wind is going to be back tomorrow.
That's right, before temperatures slide back down, and there's also several chances for snow in the forecast. Not done with winter just yet. Our chief meteorologist Nick Gregory here to time it all out, even though we did have a nice start to February for sure.
We sure did. I mean, you had a little bit of snow, of course, yesterday, up to an inch or two, particularly as you got north and northeast of the city. And then today, 50-degree weather in the area. So whatever snow was around just went bye-bye pretty quickly. In fact, 53 at Belmar. Newark and Trenton sharing 50. We were close to that in the city. And 40s across the island. Into Connecticut, lower 40s really. Mid-40s White Plains westward. And, we're cooling off a little bit now. Not all that bad, though. Still 47 in Midtown. 43 down by the shore. Low 40s on the island. It has got into the 30s, though. Poughkeepsie towards Hartford and over there in Allentown. So we've had a south wind today. Still around 5 to 10 miles an hour. That's going to kick around to the northwest tonight because we have little cold fronts coming by. We'll take a look at that here. On the big picture, again, you can see some rain and snow across upstate New York and the parts of northern New England, but that is not going to be coming our way. When you look at the wide view, you can see the trajectory is going in that direction. But keep an eye on this system off here. That's going to be our problem coming in for tomorrow night, late tomorrow night, really, and on into Thursday. That's going to be our next chance for snow, but eventually you're going to look at a computer model here in a minute. It's probably going to go over to rain for the city and coast, but could stay snow further at a longer period of time inland. All right, here is the Futurecast for tomorrow. Notice the streaks in the clouds, an indication of the wind. It's going to pick up out of the northwest. 15, 25, probably gusting 35 or plus as we get through the late morning into the afternoon hours. But again, a mainly sunny day. Now, we're not going to be up around 50 tomorrow. A little bit cooler, low to middle 40s, and even colder tomorrow night, back into the 20s. And then Wednesday, we don't get out of the low to middle 30s. The clouds will take over during Wednesday. And you can see as the day goes along, there's a little band of snow breaking off to the south. That will eventually spread northward. In fact, we'll take a look at the bigger Futurecast model here, and you can see as that system gets organized, the pink is freezing rain and sleet. The blue is the snow, so late tomorrow night, starting into Thursday morning. Again, everybody probably starts as snow, but then it goes over to that little rain mix and just really becomes rain along the coast and moving into the nearby suburbs. But further north, it may stay snow, sleet, freezing rain for a while, so that can make a real mess of things on Thursday. Again, accumulation could be a coating or an inch or so in the city before it goes over, but there'll be higher numbers, I think, to the north and west. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Meantime, we're going to mid and upper 30s tonight, again, with a lot of clouds, and back to the low and middle 40s tomorrow, mainly sunny and windy. Steve and Natasha?
All right, thanks, Nick. Well, a fire sweeps through an East Village apartment. The man inside not making it out alive.
But this dog did. Now Bella has mounting vet bills. How you can help.
All right, there's the dog. And feeling the flu, cases rising in the city. And get this, more people are sick this year than in years past.
Well, now to the fire that swept through an East Village apartment over the weekend. A 75-year-old man died, but his dog managed to survive.
Yeah, incredibly, a neighbor was able to save Bella, but the vet bills to treat her injuries from smoke inhalation are piling up. Fox 5's Kendall Green has Bella's survival story.
This charred apartment on the second floor is hollow and dark, following a deadly fire in the East Village Sunday.
It started around 10 and went all day until way past midnight.
Saw people coming down the fire escape, lots of vehicles pulling up.
You can see fire crews working to contain the flames raging in this apartment, 2F, where sadly firefighters couldn't save the 75-year-old man inside. But one life from the unit was spared by first responders, where if you look closely, you can see one of them carrying little Bella, following her rescue. Before getting her to the back of a crew car,
she smelled like smoke. She was clearly traumatized. She was shaking.
Dean Mann, who lives across the street, knew Bella's owner, telling Fox 5 he and the dog were inseparable.
He never walked the dog with a leash. That was his thing. He was a very kind gentleman.
Come on, pretty, you can walk. And well, Bella struggled in her first several hours without her owner by her side, even after Dean and neighbors took her to an emergency vet clinic in Chelsea.
They informed me that the dog was in really bad shape.
But time, despite how little, has done wonders already.
She walked a little bit today. She wagged her tail, and she said hi to Tippy.
That's thanks to doctors Dean and little Tippy, Dean's dog, who looks almost like Bella's twin. The dog and dad duo are warming up to the idea they could have an extra 4 legs skipping around their apartment soon.
She's more than welcome in my household, and she'll keep Tippy company, and I'd be happy to have her. She's a really sweet dog.
But not before she gets her strength back and gets released from the hospital. Now, for those living in the neighborhood, it's a miracle Bella made it out of that apartment fire alive, but her medical expenses have become quite expensive for Dean, to the tune of about $6,000 per day. So for those looking to support the GoFundMe they set up, we'll have that link on our website, fox5ny.com. That's the latest in the East Village. Kendall Green, Fox 5 News.
Such a sad story all around, but hopefully they can help.
Pull in for Bella.
Yeah. Well, special immigrant visa program paused.
All right, which means Afghans who fought alongside U.S. troops in Afghanistan are currently in limbo. We're going to take a closer look. Plus,
it's been so cool to be able to visit these churches and see the intertwining stories of various people that have all walked through those doors.
Get ready to meet the man spreading his faith and passion for local churches on social media.
Watching the 10 o'clock news.
The Trump administration has put a temporary pause on all Afghan refugee resettlement programs and halted any efforts to relocate special immigrant visa holders to the U.S.
all right, which means Afghans who assisted U.S. troops overseas are caught in the middle of it. Fox 5's Teresa Priolo has more on the impact this is having on them.
Our role there in Afghanistan was to interact with the wives and daughters, mothers of Taliban leaders, and to be able to corroborate information so that the strike force would be able to detain the right individuals. And so without them, it wasn't just my safety that was assured, but it was the lives of the many men that were out on these direct action night raids.
It's not hyperbole to suggest Manaz Akbari and the Women of Afghan's Female Tactical Platoon helped ensure the success of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, and in many cases saved their lives. And while they were never promised help in return, the hope has always been the U.S. wouldn't fail them when they needed it.
A lot of people that are interpreters, some of them they are still in Afghanistan, and they work for U.S. government, and they put risk their life to serve the country also, and work closely with U.S. government. But now they are really disappointed.
Disappointed now that the Trump administration has temporarily paused all special immigrant visas, or SIVs, and its refugee resettlement program, which includes rehoming the Afghans that fought alongside U.S. troops in Afghanistan, those who were left behind when the U.S. pulled out in August 2021.
I was talking with one of the FDP, actually. She tried for 3 years to bring her family here, and she did the paperwork and everything was done, and her family received a call that they need to be ready in 24 hours. You are going to evacuate you from Afghanistan. But unfortunately, after a couple hours, they called them and they said that your flight got canceled.
Flights are canceled, plans are on hold. There are no answers, not from the State Department or the Defense Department. And while many have made it out over the last 3.5 years, their family members remain in a country under Taliban rule.
She was hopeful that after the U.S. interview, the embassy interview, she would be given the visa, but now it's unknown.
Mohammed Aslabi not show his face. He worked for 4 years as an interpreter in Afghanistan. As soon as he was eligible for an SIV, he took it. His sister also worked alongside U.S. troops. She's currently stuck in Pakistan.
There's a lot of other interpreters who actually have difficulty proving that they work with the U.S. Army. Some of them are injured. Some of them have lost their family members. But since the company that they were employed by or the supervisor is not reachable, they can't find the supervisor, they can't find any contact. For them, the refugee status is something that was hopeful. That, okay, at least with whatever document they have in hand, they can show that, and the refugee status will give them asylum here. So right now, their life is completely unknown.
It's estimated approximately 40,000 Afghans have had their flights canceled or their applications put on pause.
We are talking about 20 years of war, right? There were very, very long employments. Most of these folks don't even know anything but being loyal to the United States.
Groups like Afghan Evac and PenFed and Next Mission are working to resettle Afghans, hoping to convince the government they're worthy of protection. But so far, there's been radio silence. The hope is this is one big mistake.
Oftentimes people don't consider the impact that this has on our American veterans, and especially those that served in Afghanistan. It bears a pretty big burden when we feel that what our government has done is so shameful, and it's just not reflective of how we really feel for these individuals. You know, they are in every way our colleagues.
Teresa Priolo, Fox 5 News.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's now the acting head for the U.S. Agency for International Development, also known as USAID. It provides crucial international aid to fund education and fight starvation and disease. That move comes as staffers were told to stay home today after Elon Musk said President Trump had agreed to shut down the agency. Secretary Rubio today criticized USAID for not promoting the State Department's interests.
But if you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy with that country or with that region. That cannot continue.
Democrats say the president lacks the constitutional authority to shut down USAID without congressional approval and are expected to file lawsuits this week against the Trump administration.
Flu cases are much higher this season compared to a year ago. Healthcare officials say that influenza is currently the #1 virus in our area. Doctors recommend to wash your hands, wear a mask to help slow down the spread. We talked to New York City's acting health commissioner, Dr. Michelle Morse, on the 6 o'clock news. She says it's not too late to get your flu shot and get tested if you're sick.
We recommend that anyone that has any symptoms gets tested to see what virus they might have, because that allows you to get treated, and that allows you also to make sure that you and your provider have a plan for what happens if you get sicker.
There have been more than 52,000 cases reported in New York State this flu season compared to 30,000 last year. That's according to New York's health department. Well, if you have a kid applying for college this year, then you know it's a whole new ballgame.
All right, from new technology to this year's high school senior class being the largest ever, we're taking a closer look at the college admissions process panic that is currently sweeping the nation.
Plus, the numbers are in, and we know just how much time teens are spending on their phones during the school day, and let's just say it's not going to help with their test scores.
A new study looks at how much time teens are spending on their phones at school. The study, published in JAMA Pediatrics, found students clock an hour and a half of screen time during class, and for 25% of students, that goes up to 2 hours. Social media and texting apps take most of that time. Here in New York, Governor Hochul is pushing for a statewide ban on cell phones in schools starting in the fall. That plan would require approval, though, from the state legislature. Yeah, applying for college, it's stressful enough as is.
And with this year's senior class being the largest ever, Fox 5's Michelle Ross shows us that getting into your school of choice has never been harder.
Sienna Long got into her dream college, the University of Miami, but the process getting in wasn't easy. Like many other soon-to-be high school graduates, the senior at Cold Spring Harbor Junior-Senior High School was stressed, filling out college applications for months, and then waiting on the decision.
That whole day, I couldn't eat. I was so nervous. I was crying all day. I couldn't breathe.
The college admissions process has changed greatly in recent years.
It's stressful every year, and parents can get a little neurotic also.
Sienna's mother, Melinda, doesn't deny it.
It's hard not to get invested in it, and you want what your kid wants so bad. And they're talking to you about it. You know, they're in your room at night like, do you think I'm going to get in? And you feel for them as a parent.
At around 3.9 million students, the class of 2025 is projected to be the largest class in the United States since data collection began, which means competition is high.
What any college looks at is not just your grades and your scores, but how many AP classes you've taken, and how you stand out on the extracurriculars.
There can be up to 25 factors, many out of a student's control, like race and ethnicity, where they went to high school, what their parents do for a living, and where they went to college. So grades and test scores aren't always primarily looked at, especially since many schools are now test optional and stopped requiring the SAT and ACT. Nailing the college essay or personal statement is a big one. Andy says to answer the invisible question.
Why should we take you compared to these 50,000 other kids who basically look the same on paper? We have that conversation a lot. How do you stand out for the right reasons?
And even though Sienna put in the work to get into UMiami, she also has her mom to thank.
Yes, of course, she was on top of me by getting all my applications in. I'm also grateful that she gave me that push.
And college admissions officers are also using technology like AI to sort through tens of thousands of college applications and filtering which students are actually interested in attending the school. by tracking who is following the social media pages, how often they visit the school website, and if they're opening emails. Reporting in Lloyd Harbor on Long Island, Michelle Ross, Fox 5 News.
God, spiraled out of control.
Sounds exhausting.
It is.
Wow.
All right, he's